Clampett, definitely. You know, Chuck Jones made some really epic films. You know, One Froggy Evening, of course. The Roadrunner films are brilliant. The Dr. Seuss Grinch Who Stole Christmas are classic films. But I think in just the trouble I have with Chuck Jones is he's too cute. His characters are too cute. They're too sweet. Clampett, man, he just went crazy. I mean, the characters are so on the edge and so dynamic and so brilliant that I definitely got to go with Bob Clampett. That's a good question because I started out as an illustrator, as you know, and it wasn't until I was 35 that I really got into animation. And I always felt that I wasted 15 years to get into animation, but I think back about it and I realized that while I was illustrating, I was really developing two talents that are a very important part of animation. One is I developed a style that's very fast, very visual, very personal, and also I developed a sense of humor, how to tell a joke, how to think up ideas really quickly, and I use both those talents a lot in animation. So being an illustrator was a good training ground for my animation. Yeah, there's two countries. France, I think, is really producing some brilliant short animated films, plus some wonderful short films too, and mostly they're CGI, computer animation, and also Korea. Korea is really producing some amazing animators and some amazing films. Not just animation, some of their live action films are very twisted, very dark, very imaginative. So those are the two countries I think right now. I love seeing their films. Ooh, you know what? There's no way I can give one the winner. They're both huge influences. In fact, those are the two people that really got me into animation. First of all, Disney, of course, and then Tex Avery later on for my wild and crazy stuff. So I'm going to have to beg out. I can't answer that question. Yeah, I think 25 Ways to Quit Smoking is really one of my favorite films, and it's fun to watch the audience when that film plays because they laugh at every gag, and that's rare to get great laughter from every gag. And also, because of that film, my mother stopped smoking. So that's a really good reason why this film is my favorite. But I have other favorites. I think Guard Dog is a classic. I liked Santa the Fascist Years. I love Your Face, of course. Those are my top films. I guess Mr. Hewlett's Holiday. You know, you chose a good guy. He's a big influence on me for a number of reasons. One is his jokes are very visual, and there's not a lot of verbal interplay and talking, which I like. And he's such a great character, and they're very surreal, and they're very dry. It's not slapstick where, you know, you trip on a rake and fall on the ground. It's very subtle humor, very sensitive humor, and very ironic humor. And I love the irony in his work. So he's a very good example of one of my influences. You mean for someone to be an independent artist, or for me to be an independent artist? For me. Well, I think that you must have ambition. You must love to draw, and you must feel that what you're doing, what you're making, is going to be the greatest film ever made. And I know a lot of filmmakers out there who are animators who are really talented, great artists, wonderful storytellers, but they don't have that driving ambition. And if you're not really in love with the process of making an animated film, you're not going to be a success. And I think that's one of the reasons that I have been successful. I'll often draw 12 hours a day. I sit in front of my TV, watch movies, and I'm drawing, shading, coloring, whatever, as I watch the movies. And you know, 12 hours a day is a big chunk of the day. So, but it's very pleasurable for me. It gives me a lot of fun just to make these films. Oh boy, that is a tough one. I can tell you the artists that I think that are overrated.
Yes.
The studios, I don't think anyone is. I mean, Pixar does great films, so you can't say they're overrated, really. There's not so many studios that are overrated. Maybe I'll think of one later, but I'll tell you one of the artists that I think is really overrated is a Russian filmmaker named Yuri Norstein. He made a film called Tale of Tales, and he did it about 15, 20 years ago, and it's been voted all the time as the best animated film ever made, and that's a kiss of death right there. Because once your film is the best animated film ever made, you know you can never top it. You can never make a film to be better than that. And so because of that, he's frozen. He can't create any more films because how can he make a film better than the best film ever made? So people, you know, they always think this film is genius. I don't see the genius. I think it's a bunch of just cute characters that really make no sense. It's very poetic, and because of that, people think it's a great film. But I think it's an empty film. Well, certainly someone like one of my favorites is oh my God, what's his name? The guy Preston Blair was a big influence on me. The Preston Blair book, was so influential in my early development as a filmmaker. So he was really a big influence. And then also he did all the Tex Avery Red Hot Riding Hood with dancing women, which was really great. He worked on Fantasia. He did a lot of great stuff for that. Milt Kahl is one of the great classic animators of all time. Certainly Rob Scribner from Bob Clampett, all the Bob Clampett films is great. I love Marv Newland, who did Bambi Meets Godzilla. He's great. Peter DeSev is one of the great. He's not particularly an animator, but he does drawings for animation, and so he's a big. He's a genius. He's just one of those great animators. I think Peter Chung did Aeon Flux, is a totally genius drawer and draftsman and animator. John Crisalucci, you know, Ren and Stimpy guy, he's really great. I mean, I could go on, but I don't want to bore you, but there's lists of people who I admire. Well, the guy who did Mind Games, and I wish I could remember his name, it's Masaki, M-A-S-A-A-K-I, I forget his first name, and he's sort of this forgotten animator because he did this great film and they buried it. They would not release it, and this film is such a genius film. Also, Don Hertzfeld, who you probably know, did Rejected and Billy's Balloon, and his, but he's not really like undiscovered because in many ways he's more popular than me. He's really the rock star of animation, but he doesn't get outside of America that much, so he's not as internationally famous as I am. But I think in the States he's probably more famous than me. Well, Scribble Junkies, for a little bit of history, was put together by Pat Smith and I. He has a wonderful house on Montauk on the end of Long Island, and we go out there and we drink and swim, and we came up with a concept to do a blog together. And so every day Pat does a blog, and then every other day I do a blog, and it's usually about my travels or festivals or films that I've seen. And now I'm doing a sketch a day, which is very popular. People love that. And then Pat usually brings down art from his favorite artists and talks about, you know, their influence and their brilliance. And so it's really a full service animation blog, because not only do you get the industry, the stories about the industry, about people, about film festivals, about marketing films, selling films. In fact, I kept a blog of my distribution of Idiots and Angels film as I went around the country, and so the audience can see all aspects of the animation business, from the art, from the joy of art, to the industry side, how to make money, how to promote, how to make a film, how to put a film together. So that's why I think people should check out Scribble Junkies.